appears that Matt Gaetz is in a little bit of trouble. So he's been accused of sex trafficking a minor, a 17-year-old girl, and is the subject of an investigation that started under the Trump administration involving his friend Joel Greenberg. Now, Gaetz denies that Gaetzgate ever happened. And by the way, the reason we got that name was ironically from Matt Gaetz. He's like, if I ever have a scandal, I want it to be called Gaetzgate. Wish granted, sir. Wish granted. Now, he says he's the victim of an extortion scheme, and it turns out, according to new information, that might actually have some truth to it. For that, I go to the Daily Beast. On Monday, they reported that Air Force veteran and research consultant Bob Kent had verified to Sirius radio personality Michael Smerconish that he had approached Gaetz' father, former Florida Senate President Don Gaetz, last month seeking a $25 million loan. Now, the funds would ransom the release of a man named Robert Levinson. Levinson is a former Federal Bureau of Investigation agent who disappeared in Iran more than a decade ago. Levinson's old family still believes him to be dead, but Kent says he's got the evidence. I got the evidence that he's alive and remains a hostage of the Islamic Republic, even though no one else agrees. Like, everyone else is like, no, we're pretty sure the guy's dead. So, to recap, the guy wanted $25 million to pay a ransom for a person who may or may not be dead, but everyone believes that he's dead, and then tried to get Gaetz' dad to loan that money. So now, what's the extortion scheme here? What is this? Well, the extortion here is that I guess he had said, well, hey, I think you're under investigation. I might be able to help you with that. Oh, okay. Fascinating. So now, how is that related to the sex trafficking charges? Well, again, that investigation was about the sex trafficking charges. And so now the funny thing about this is, does this guy have any power to make any investigation go away? Is that something that he can do? Did he promise to do that? Does he actually have the power? This whole thing's wild. All right. And so it just keeps getting more confusing. But more details. Now, Kent did say that he was aware at the time that Gaetz had some legal issues, and suggested that assisting the mission would create goodwill towards the congressman. Hey, I know you're being investigated for, blanking a 17-year-old, and then trafficking her across state lines from where it is not legal to where it is legal. Where the age of consent is lower. And so, yeah, we know you're in a little bit of trouble for that. Front me $25 million to help me get this family out, and there will be some goodwill coming your way. What? Again, real strange. Now, Kent did flatly deny that he went so far as extortion, which it sounds very extorty to me. Quote, I never threatened the man. Matter of fact, it was the opposite. I told him if he decides not to help us, he'll never hear from me again. I can't help how it sounds. I mean, it sounds pretty bad. No matter what, it sounds quite terrible, actually. A little bit like a quid pro quo offer, like, hey, you loan me money, I can help you out, goodwill. Any your issues maybe could be. We don't know if that conversation happened about the legal issues. But hey, if you don't help me, then I'm not gonna help you. Just saying. Again, any way you slice it, it does not look good. And yes, that's an unintentional pun here. Because after all, it's being called Pizza Gates as well, which is great. So now, all this is not to say that Matt Gaetz is in the right here. This is a situation where there are no good guys, and I've talked about this a lot. Okay, so now, if Matt Gaetz didn't do anything wrong, why did he allegedly beg the former president in order to give him a blanket pardon? So let me give you an article, or a snippet of an article here from the New York Times. Quote, in the final weeks of Mr. Trump's term, Mr. Gaetz privately asked the White House for blanket preemptive pardons for himself and unidentified congressional allies for any crimes they may have committed, according to two people. Discussion. Around that time, Mr. Gaetz was also publicly calling for broad pardons from Mr. Trump to thwart the bloodlust of the Democrats. I'm sorry, of the radical socialist left, or whatever he calls the Democratic Party. It's ridiculous. Now, at the same time, Justice Department investigators began questioning Mr. Gaetz' associates about his conduct, including whether he had a sexual relationship with the aforementioned 17-year-old that violated sex trafficking laws. So again, that happened under Trump, under William Barr, and then as we saw, Trump pardoned a bunch of people, like Steve Bannon, who ripped off Trump supporters, built the wall, and then bragged about it. The best people, the greatest people. But he didn't pardon Matt Gaetz or Rudy Giuliani. And now, after days of silence, Trump did come out to defend him. So now, this is after one Trump confidant had told the Daily Beast, quote, the reason you haven't seen people in the MAGA world defend Gaetz is less about him being unpopular, which he is in a lot of circles, and more about the fact that he hasn't done a single thing to make people comfortable to defend him. His interview with Tucker was an absolutely embarrassing train wreck. Now, you all remember this one. This is where, and I've got the video. This is where Gaetz tries to drag Tucker into this. It's hilarious. Take a look.
I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about, the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
So what happens next? I mean, you can say there is this investigation, I guess a criminal investigation. I'm not quite sure where the sex trafficking part comes in. I don't, again, for the fifth time, I don't really understand this story very well. But where does it go from here? I mean, you've made an allegation against someone by name on the air and accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from your family. What happens tomorrow?
Well, what was supposed to happen was the transfer of this money that would have implicated the former colleague of these current DOJ officials. But that's obviously not going to happen tomorrow because the New York Times story was leaked in order to quell that investigative effort.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Tucker's like, no. You need to climb under that bus. All right. You were not dragging me down into that. I don't remember anything that you were saying. Love the bus. So good. Now, Trump, on the other hand, did actually come out to defend Matt Gaetz. In a statement, he said, Matt Gaetz has never asked me for a pardon. It must also be remembered that he totally denied the accusations against him. Oh, yes. He denied the accusations. So, all right, well, hey, I guess we're done. Gaetz, it's over. That's it. Pack it up, everybody. We're done. None of the next story. No. It's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. Who's lying here? A president and a congressman who are both incredibly shady, sketchy people, or anonymous sources speaking to the New York Times about the alleged pardons. I don't know. It's getting wild, though. That's for sure. All the stuff coming out about Matt Gaetz, including him allegedly showing naked photos to, or of women that he had apparently slept with to other people in order to prove his name. I mean, who does that? And oh my God, if even one of those happened to be underage. Hey, QAnon. Find your pedo. Just saying. I mean, no, look, he's a creepy dude no matter what. All right, we know. And none of this information clears him from any of the allegations. Again, we don't know the facts on this, but it does make the thing just even more complex and incredibly fascinating. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.